3.
That's how it always is.
I thought it was sometimes
Usually
3
it's
weeks.
3. Yeah,
Yeah.
usually it's
I'm happy with 2. I like 2. 2 is good.
Can I take those 2 weeks off? Please? May I just disappear?
I second that motion.
Yeah.
I'll second.
All in favor? I call the question.
Aye.
Aye.
I like it. I get to vote on something.
That's right.
You should be aware that in the original academic calendar, the semester was supposed to begin January 6th. And they changed it last spring to begin the 13th because of the issue of the extreme, how do you manage the vacation with, January 1st and things like that. So that's nice. Originally it was supposed to be even shorter, but as a consequence of that, the fall semester will abut Christmas to keep summer long enough. So,
Well, I know the campuses, the students get 4 weeks off, but us 12-monthers, yeah, it's only the 2 weeks off. But yeah, that extra week in December and then in January.
Well, I still think that we ought to go back to how we did it that one year during COVID, where we smashed the whole thing real fast. We were done at Thanksgiving.
I don't want to smash it. But yeah, I would like to have between Thanksgiving and February off. We should do that.
Okay, are you all seeing the agenda?
Good.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and I'll call the meeting to order. We'll go ahead and get started. Good afternoon, everybody. We don't have any, we have some announcements, but they're gonna come on later in the meeting. First thing I want a motion to approve. Catherine has sent them out already. Can I get a motion to approve October 10th minutes?
Move to approve the minutes from our last meeting.
Yep, and that's Bob. Can I get a second?
Second.
That was Sherry Ann Randall. All in favor, either an aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention?
I'm abstaining.
Jessica Winston is abstaining. So moved.
I was
Everyone-
away.
Yeah, I know. So everyone, everyone unanimously approved except for Jessica Winston's abstention. Moving forward with report 3, I'm going to come back to that because we're going to talk about that at the end of the meeting. I want to get through what our business is first, and then we will go back to the oral communication and we'll have that discussion. And we also have the chair from GERC joining us today to kind of shed some more light on that as well. With that being said, I'm moving on to 4. Information from academic affairs. I know Cindy is out, and I know that last name Graham.
That's me, Jana.
Yeah,
Yep.
Jana, sorry.
Hi. That's
Jana
okay.
is here to represent. Do you have any information from us from academic affairs?
Yeah, Cindy just asked me to pass along a thank you to everyone for participating in the mid-cycle visit when NWCU was here Monday and Tuesday, and they'll have the final report within the next couple of or few weeks, whatever the timeline is, and that will be shared more broadly.
Cool. Was it a good visit?
As far as I know, it was a good visit. I think they had a lot of good conversations. Yeah.
Well, they didn't fail us out front, so.
Mhm. That's true.
Oh, great. GERC, do you have your update?
For GERC is going well. The processing of, the processing of proposals are going well. GERC is planning on doing a revision or a review of their bylaws. Ed is got that clearly planned for and the agenda that he's got set forth for the year. So things are going good. And yeah, we're just gonna work in tandem as we always do.
Okay, thank you. Bass?
Bass has not met since last time. We are planning on meeting next Friday.
Okay, thank you. Catalog format subcommittee, that'll happen more in spring. That's again just ongoing. My information, again, the only thing I have is again that oral communication, which we will look to bring up at the end and have discussion. And that is it in regards to that. Faculty Senate, do you have anything for us, Bob?
We haven't met since last time, so I told you about the technology curriculum committee that Faculty Senate is looking to start. And yeah, so no, nothing new until another meeting, which is next Monday. So I'll have a report next week.
Got it. Okay.
Unless there's
And then
anything
is-
Amanda wants to chime in on.
I don't think is she here? She was here, I thought. No, I don't think Amanda's here.
Amanda's here. I can see her picture. She might
Got
have,
it, but I'm just blind then, sorry.
it is late.
Thank you, Tiffany, for pointing out my faults.
Yeah, Amanda's here, but she may be muted.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'll come back if she, again, has anything else from Faculty Senate.
Sure.
We have
Okay.
no other information items and, we will look to have the consent calendar hopefully for next week. I'll talk about that a little bit more when we look at the unfinished business. Can I get a motion to take up the unfinished business?
So moved.
Yeah, that's Bob, and then can I just get a second?
Second,
That's Ben, and let's go ahead and take that up. We only have 3 proposals to look at today. Let's look at proposal number 1. Okay, so this one from the College of Technology, discontinuing the AAS and unmanned aerial systems. And then they're updating those certificates. I look like someone's chatting me. Oh, she's having microphone issues, but Amanda said, but she has no other information from Faculty Senate.
Okay.
Moving on. So also this required a letter of notification, and we as this committee will endorse this, just as we do with all, again, things that have to go to the state level. So let's look at these comments to start with. So Catherine, this one's resolved, correct? On the right here?
No, please leave that up.
Okay.
Because that's gonna remind me that, yes, the program inventory shows there's a BAS and we need to get rid of that too, so.
All
please leave that
signatures are
comment
there,
up.
Debbie, and then there's Mona. Okay. Here we go from the registrar's office.
Yeah,
SIS, oh, no, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say discontinuing programs is actually fair. The most important thing is the teach out plan at the bottom.
Yeah. No, I'm just going through as we always do.
Okay. Oh, I know.
Yep, so there, everyone again is all good there. So again, faculty proposed again, we're already discontinuing this and they're making adjustments to the intermediate technical certificate. There's only 1 faculty member and they voted that and they'll be adding 1 new course only. And this is the current, but there's no changes with that.
Yep, they're adding spring.
Yeah, sorry, I helped with this proposal, but it's been a minute since I looked at it, so. Yep, so this one, they only made 1 change to the class that it's gonna be, as Bob said, offered in the spring. Program will be offering 1 semester BTC if offered, and will be offered every semester. This one, the UAS 1120, so they changed, again, their course description and their offering as well to spring.
And they're also changing it from this was Flight Laboratory 1 to just Flight Laboratory.
Thank you. Bob, I'm gonna turn it over to you since I keep making mistakes here.
Well, it's your screen share, so I can't.
Okay, here we go. Let me see. Having issues with my screen share too. Okay, here's the next one. If I can get there. Yeah, UAS 2200. So we're changing the name, the course description, and then it just decided to jump all the way down to the bottom. I don't like Google Documents when they don't like to work. Okay, here we go. Yep, and they changed the name, or sorry, the short title, the description. Again, the prerequisite requirement when it's offered. UAS 2250 again, when it's being offered spring. And then here's the new course, 1130, which is Fundamentals of Electricity. Student learning outcomes again for the course. Again, it's gonna be offered in fall and spring, no online. And this creates or fills in the knowledge gaps for, again, for their basic technical certificate. And then here's the information we just talked about, those courses that are courses that are being deleted. UAS 1100. UAS 1110. UAS 1150, 1155. And it's gonna go on and on. This proposal is long. 1170, 2225. 2228. Two two five two. 2255. Again, they're just removing these. 2270. Now I'm getting 2282. I think this was the last one. Yes. Okay. Okay, so here's the rationale of why they're doing that. Again, they're gainful employment. They're offering again 1 semester in BTC as well. They list their objectives there. Nothing online. So here's the proposed catalog copy. Again, everything that's being removed, that AAS. And here's their BTC, which I took a look at the credits and added to 16. Catherine, looks like you have a comment there. You just put that it was a
Yeah.
significant change. Yeah.
Yes, that's because they're changing, it's 31% change, so that's gonna flag a longer form and quite possibly a fee from, NWCCU when we file this change. So that's another flag for me.
So there's the teach out, which was right there too.
Yep.
Again, and there is no
Yeah.
teach out required because the IT are, because they haven't been accepting students into that program.
Mhm.
So new curriculum will take effect in fall as long as this gets approved. Infrastructure, it's all good there. And combination of LMS face-to-face. With their faculty member that did QM. Catalog copy perspectives, again, registrar's office signed off. There's nothing again that has to do with GERC. And no other info and impacted departments except again, UAS. Motion to approve proposal number 1.
So moved.
Bob and then Camille seconding. All in favor? Either
Aye.
aye or raise your hand. Any opposed? Any abstention? So move proposal number 1 has been unanimously approved.
Thank you.
Yay. Moving next on our agenda, 36.
I just have a quick question.
Jessica, yeah, go ahead.
I know that this is not entirely related, so this is more just to kind of mark the issue maybe for later, but this question of the kind of more than 30% change or more than 6 credits or whatever it is and a potential fee. I mean, I remember this coming up last year and, you know, kind of wondering about like, how do we know when something's going to trigger this larger review, and how do we know when there will be a fee, and do we have information on who is responsible for that fee? So I guess I just, you know, your comment, Catherine, just raises that query again for me, and I don't know
Yes.
if there's anyone out there who is a potential source of clarity, but it might be useful when we're guiding our constituents, you know, when they're putting in changes. I think the change is coming from Global Studies that's going to do the same thing. And I'm just wondering, you know, when I should be warning them that their program is going to, you know, suddenly owe a bunch of money or something. I just don't know.
Yeah.
You know, or
It's-
if their
it's-
program is.
Yeah, it's when the program is changing, if the content of the program is changing 25% or more, that's what triggers it. And there's a course, particular form that I have to fill out, which I'll be doing in December and January after we get through this catalog cycle to, anytime we're changing the number of credits to a program or a certificate, we have to write a letter of notification to the board office and or IDCTE if it's a career tech program. And also notify NWCCU. And I'm now doing all the portal changes and everything with NWCCU. So I'm handling all that paperwork just like I do with the state proposals.
So I'm sorry, go ahead, Catherine.
Yeah, and so I have to kind of go through the programs and see, okay, how much are you changing it, especially if it's new courses. And we're still working with NWCCU, getting clarity on exactly what triggers it, but they've told us 25%. So it's kind of like something like this. I'll probably say, I'll go to Cindy and say, it's changing this. I calculated it to be 25%. What do you, or the 31%, what do you think it is? And then I think, don't quote me on this, but I think we get like 10 of them for free. And then after that, per year. And then after that, it starts triggering that. I think it's $1,000. But I'm still rather vague on all of that. And
If
what
you
the
were to think
details
about a
are.
bachelor's degree, again, 120 credits, just again, and if it was 25%, that'd be 30 credits. If they were again
Right.
changing, that would be
Mhm.
something again to look at and or bring it to the executive committee or bring it to Catherine Academic Affairs and say, hey, we have this much changing, where do we need to go from here kind of.
Yeah, and again, that's kind of a cleanup thing that I do after the catalog cycle. And this all just started in January, I think is when they started requiring all this stuff. They've made some changes and didn't tell anybody. And then suddenly we've been scrambling all summer and our program inventory is completely screwed up. So that's something that I have to get done by the end of spring semester or by summer at the latest. But we got to get through this catalog cycle first. Because the other thing we run into is that everybody's always making incremental changes to their programs. And over time, it changes significantly. And we're running into a bunch of those, and we're not sure exactly what they want and exactly how all this works. So that's stuff that I'll be finding out more about. The ones that are of critical importance, though, are the small certificates that are only like 9 or 12 credits, because you change one course in that, and if it's only 9 credits, you just change 33% of it. So that's something we're trying to get a little more clarification and stuff. I get the sense they're kind of making all this up as they go along, and they begin to realize what the ramifications of their decisions are. So I'll try to keep you posted, and feel free to reach out if you have any questions about anything.
Thank you. Moving forward, 36.
You're welcome, Jessica.
So this is again, College of Tech looking at again, a minor, again, curriculum change again with their ITS. I signed off on this one. All signatures are there. There was no impacts of that. Catherine, today, Randa, you put a comment. Is the NA?
There was just no designation if Pageant needed to look that or not. So I was just wondering.
Oh, it's just something that needed it. That's an ITS course. There's Alex. No, they haven't. No, that's an existing one. Is there anything that requires math?
I didn't think there was any impact.
There wasn't.
Yeah. Sometimes I skim through, but sometimes I have to do it kind of quickly. Yeah, this one I don't think there is an NA.
No,
I
they're
think that is
changing
an NA,
titles
yeah.
and descriptions to reflect changes in software and operating systems that are covered. This is another one, like some similarities to UAS. So no, then Randall. Thank you. They got their faculty votes. So
And
yeah,
this
there's gonna be a
one,
bunch of changes in regards to their names. So I'm gonna scroll through these. So again,
Israel,
their ITS 1120 name, their description. And they're covering, again, they put what they're covering and their difference in regards to Linux here. Again, cloud computing, another one. And the words, terminology. Desk operating systems. Just changing the name from Windows to that. 2205 again, how many hours for their internship? It went from 7 to 6. And the rationale down here explains that. Again, based on the 45 per credit, again, it makes sense for the 270 at a 6 credit level. And it meets the objectives of the program, 2218. Yeah, they're changing their name, course description. That's all. Okay, so again, they're changing 1, 2, 3, 4 courses.
mhm.
Not applicable because there's nothing that needs to be for, again, new student learning outcomes not offered online. And here's the catalog copy. Credits went down from 52, or sorry, increased from 52 to 54. I had added that up and it looked correct because of their infrastructures. Maybe there. Nope. Well, sound affecting Dirk, no other departments but theirs. Motion to approve 36.
So moved.
Bob, second.
Aye.
Second.
That's Aaron Berry, and then someone else said something. I don't know who that was.
Ben, yeah,
Ben, thank you. All in favor?
aye.
Any opposed? And any abstention? So moved. 36 is unanimously approved.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, last but not least, that's on here, 46. Yeah. This is coming from Arts and Letters. This is from history, adding a native history class to their history major, and yeah, we got the signatures. Perfect. Oh. Do we need a signature here from Jonah? Catherine?
I'm sorry?
I said we need a signature from Jonah here.
I think
Yeah.
Jonah was, I think she was just saying something, but she's muted.
Oh, okay. Jonah?
Yeah, sorry, I was pressing down on my space bar, but it
Okay.
did not get me. I said I will go in and sign it right now if I can find it.
Okay.
That's good enough for
Yeah,
us.
It's linked on the agenda.
Yep,
Um,
just click it on the agenda and you should be able to sign it electronically.
yeah, you can
Yep.
just type in your name.
And that'll be good then, and then we can vote on it once we get through it all. Okay, so then there's all the places again, because of this, it's going to affect in the catalog. Okay, so
And
we're,
Buck,
yeah, go
did you get the map on this one? It was in progress at the time. I was just wondering if you
Yeah, I'm
have-
still just working with the advisors to get it finished up, so
Okay,
we're good.
okay, good. I've got it listed as in progress, but I'll just leave it as that for now.
Yeah.
Should be okay.
Other departments, so everyone else looks okay, and then civil engineering, they said C part D, but no foreseeable problems. Okay, so they're adding 2258, 4470, and then 4478, they're faculty approved. There'll be 3 new courses. We've answered those questions about signing. Thank you, Catherine. There's no proposals. Okay, so they talked about why. And they have those added in there. You've got to go to grad council. Everything else looks okay with this one. This one was relatively easy. They added that in. No concerns. There we go. Infrastructure. We go back to, that's yes. No concerns, nothing from Girk. Anthropology, civil engineering.
Yeah, I have a question about that Ivory had put in there about 4478, the federal Indian laws.
It's okay. Yep, we got it taken care of.
Yeah, where did that come from? Was that one that was supposed to have been there and was missed earlier? 'Cause
He
it's
had
not a new course,
requested
right?
he requested a new proposal for that, and I told him he didn't need a new proposal just to add it to this one.
Ah, perfect, okay. And it's just that one certificate, it's not the other programs?
Correct.
Okay,
And everything else looks good with this
all
one.
good.
Motion to approve 46. Pending the signature and the map.
I move to approve.
Second,
And who was so Camille was second, who was my first?
Ben,
Ben, all in favor?
aye.
Raise your hand. Any opposed? Any abstention? So move 46 is approved unanimously.
Yay. Yep, and Jonah just signed it, so it's done.
Great.
Good.
Okay, with that being said, so we already approved one. We need to endorse it because it's going to the state. So can I get motion to endorse the discontinuance of the AS and the ITC and unmanned aerial systems for proposal 1? That's Camille, and then can I get a second?
Second,
Okay, so moved. So that is endorsed by us. Again, we don't usually take a vote with that. So that again is endorsed by UCC. Parking lot, those are still again an issue that again we're working on those for 27 and 32. So just to throw this out there before we go into the other stuff about the comm class, for 37, 38, 43, and 45, as long as the committee is good, executive committee, when we met this week, we looked at these, there's nothing that is relatively like huge with these. And as long as you all are okay, we are looking to move these to the consent calendar for next week. And or then we will not have an actual meeting. We will have an email meeting where again we will vote through that, so we don't actually have to do it face to face next week if you're okay with not having a 2-hour meeting next week. But if you want it, we will have it. As long as you're all okay with these again going to the consent calendar, we will move these there, and that's one of our purposes of executive committee. If we can do that, and again we want to, we can move these in there, especially since the deadline again of the 20th is coming. We want to get as many done before that as we can. Are we all good with that? Again, I'll open it for discussion of that. If I don't hear anything, then we're gonna look to move these to the consent calendar for next week, and then we will not do an actual face-to-face. We will just do an email, we'll have a virtual agenda and an email vote on each of these proposals. Okay? If anything else comes in new, then again, executive committee, may meet on Tuesday, may meet on Wednesday, may not. But if not, it's only gonna be looking at these 4 proposals then for next week. Okay. That being said, I know Ed told me he was gonna jump in, but he was going to be a little late. And he is not here yet.
We need a motion on the new business.
I'm sorry, what?
Did we actually make a motion on the new business to
To
move
move
it?
to the consent calendar? No.
No, but you should to make a motion to.
Motion to
how
accept
do you-
new business and immediately table for next week.
Thank you. Yes, thank
Thank
you.
you, Bob. Okay. So move then again, that's tabled for next week and it will go to the consent calendar. I know he's gonna jump in. Do you know, Ben, he told me he was gonna be able to wait. Do you know how long he was gonna be by chance or no?
You did not tell me that.
He didn't tell me that either. He told me he wasn't gonna be there long. We can start with this conversation and then again, I will defer to him moving forward. But I know there was some, again, conversation about COM 11 or for biology 1104 and that communication and that. And to start us off, again, whoever wants to make the comment with that. So Jessica, I'll defer to you since again, we've been going back and forth about it. And again, conversation about that. You're muted. Oh, there you go.
So just so I understand, we're on the portion of the agenda where the executive committee is reporting on this issue?
Correct. Yep.
Okay,
Yeah, I went back to that. Yeah, sorry.
so I'd like to hear the executive committee's report on this issue.
You want to hear ours first beforehand?
Uh,
Is that what you-
Well, I guess I'm just not sure what the conversation is about, and the item on the agenda is a report on the issue. So I guess I'd like to start there. And I don't know what the agenda item is except that. So
It's only the report. So that's again, we're going back to that. And again, about that oral communication discipline and the concerns about it. So, and that executive committee, we talked and discussed about it today that again, when these courses come about that are again, are objective driven here, it's a GERC. GERC is the one who meets about it and GERC is the one that puts forth on it to approve. In regards to UCC's purview with it, we approve it based on again what is given to us from them. So, and looking at the concerns again from different departments and such. Yeah, it did move a little fast from when the meeting was, but at the same time, we still had quorum and we still had again that time for discussion. Again, we had opened up on last week's meeting again to again say anything for that, and there was no discussion, so that is why we look to again approve it. GERC has a GERC's again chair, which is Ed. Again, he has some more things to again open up or kind of shed some light on about the class and what it needs to meet. Any of my executive committee, if you want to take forth from what I've just kind of put in there, Bob.
Sure, I'll chime in a little bit real quick. So one of the things that was discussed about the impact, and you know as defined by impact, the impact is defined in GERC's policies and in ours to a certain extent. That if you are using a class, let's say you have a curricular proposal, for example, from College of Tech in their BAS program, and they're creating a new BAS program in something, and they're going to borrow classes from the College of Business, they're going to borrow classes from the College of Education, and etc. That would be impacting those departments because those are direct classes that you're copying. Impact does not necessarily mean, you know, what's the impact across the entire university for any given course change. The only time we're talking about impacts is if it directly impacts a specific curricular proposal. So from that standpoint, the biology proposal didn't impact the communications department because it's literally just adding a single course. We're borrowing a CMP course here, or we're adding a CMP course to this biology curriculum. This was literally just adding a single course. And so from that definition of what is an impact, and I could find the text and read it to you if you want, but I'm not finding it right now. But from that standpoint, so as far as an impact goes, this isn't the type of thing that by our definition of impact meets that definition. The other thing is that the UCC, we have our policies and procedures. They fill out the forms. We look at the forms, make sure they're complete, make sure that they've been documented, make sure they've been signed, all those kind of things. And once our form is complete,
You might want to stop sharing. Excuse me, Bob.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. Sorry. I apologize about that. Sorry.
okay.
Here we go. Go ahead. Thank you, Ben.
So once the documentation is complete, it goes to our agenda. And so from the standpoint of when someone could comment on it, the GERC aspect of it had already happened by the time it got to us. And so we're just checking to make sure that our portion of it, the UCC form, all of that, and the impact from GERC is listed in the document. So once all of that has taken place, there's no reason for the UCC, provided everything lines up, the credits work, title works, it's all been filled out correctly. There's no reason for the UCC to vote something down in that regard. So those are the kind of things I wanted to address when it comes to the proposal. The other thing, the last point I want to make is that all of these meetings are open and our agendas are normally published ahead of time. And so anyone can come. Yeah, they are. I know, Catherine, they are. And so as a result, anyone can come and comment on these type of things. And even then, the new business that we just accepted today, we accepted the new business and immediately tabled it so we can discuss it next time. Those are the policies, those are the procedures that we have in order to keep the committee, and keep the work of the committee flowing. Because, as you can see, we've got, 20 people on the call, 25 people on the call. That's a lot of time and effort, being used by a lot of people in order to ensure that the business of the university is moving forward. So those are my few bits.
And I can read that direct language just so, again, that we're all on the same page. It comes from our policy that, again, so for this specifically, CMP is not an impacted department according to the existing guidelines, and they're not required to be consulted, and impacted departments, according to the policy, are those that rely on the existing course that is being modified or changed, and adding a new course that may appeal to students currently focused to take an existing course does not require consultation with the department that hosts the existing course. This is clearly evident on our UCC website, where the instructions for proposing a new course don't require a consultation. The names are neither GERC nor UCC require departments proposing new general education courses to list all programs in the proposed general education objective category to be permitted to weigh in as impacted departments. Biology followed the appropriate policy in regards reaching out to those folks specifically impacted. And then he's going to join us at 3:45.
Yes, and I'm the appointed
ahead,
rep
Ben.
from UCC to GERC. And as I watch the business of this proposal going through its process, every guideline was followed. And so in my observation, GERC followed the rules that they were needing to follow and the procedures to accept its approval as a general education course.
Mhm.
So Jessica, there was our report from what we talked about. And then again, we're going to wait until the president or not president, the chair of GERC comes to kind of go forth more. But I want to open up. Does anyone have anything for discussion or anyone have anything to say of that? Go ahead, Jessica.
So I guess I have three things, but the first one is, it seems to me like everyone on the committee is aware of what the issue is that we're discussing or that is being reported on. I know I have a question about whether that's the case, just because Jim DeSanza shared an email with us yesterday at 4:30 p.m. And I know that I personally was kind of busy last night and also with preparing for a recruiting event today. And so and it seems like I'm not sure. I know that this report was on the agenda prior, but I don't know if that this discussion was on the agenda prior. And so I'm just wondering, is everyone aware of what the issue is? Like, did you have a chance to read Jim DeSanza's email? I mean, I'm just wondering. Do you feel comfortable? Because it sounds like we're moving beyond the report to a discussion, but I don't want to have a discussion based on materials that came in last night and an alteration to the agenda that is happening kind of on today. So I'm just want clarification. I'm happy to move forward, but I just want to make sure that everyone feels comfortable engaging.
This just popped up in the last day or two. Actually, I think most of it came in this morning. I did not update the agenda, but basically I'm on the minutes. It's going to be under new business, excuse me. It'll be under unfinished business, the other business after the state proposals for endorsement, this discussion. And the reason for this discussion is because Faculty Senate meets on Monday. They've apparently pulled this off their that course off of their consent calendar, according to the email. So they're going to be discussing it on Monday. So I think GERC and UCC need to have the discussion about, okay, first, what happened, what's going on, and how was it addressed by each of the councils. I also, in one of those emails, there was a question about what the precedent was, both past and future, that needs to be considered. Having served on GERC as the admin assistant for several years, and yeah, I was around in the beginning of this whole assessment stuff that started back in 2015. To my recollection, no other course has ever gone to the state discipline group and have them weigh in on any institution's particular gen ed course. This was an anomaly, and I know part of that is because Jim DeSanza was up at the gen ed summit. Jessica, I'm sorry I missed your email saying that you sent, I guess it was last week, 2 weeks ago. It was some time ago.
She sent it to both of us. Yeah.
It's been a while, and I missed it and forgot. And your name was not on the list of reps that we're supposed to be attending. But since I'm not on GERC anymore, I'm not always being kept apprised of all of that. But anyway, I do admit that the proposals came through rather quickly, but the workload for both GERC and UCC has been fairly light lately. And course proposals take precedence over pretty much everything because of the catalog deadline. So there wasn't a whole lot of time for review, which is just the timing of things that worked out. But as was said before, normally we do not go to any of the departments in any of the objectives and say, hey, this department is creating a course within your within that objective. And math has pretty much its own objective, just like but there are other courses in it that are being created. We do not go to math and say, hey, do you agree with this? We don't go to philosophy asking them about, does this course meet critical thinking for objective 7? So in terms of the impacts, it was followed the way it should have been. But in terms of having anybody else from outside the university weigh in, especially a discipline group, that was very much an anomaly. However, if there were concerns that were raised that seem legitimate to GERC, they have the option of working with the department to say, hey, can you address these learning outcomes that the group had, or anybody on campus, you know, any impact statement that comes back. We do want these things addressed. So,
With that being
if it-
said, hold on one
Yeah.
second. So basically with that being said, GERC did not have any objections, and that's why it did move to us. And then Ed is here again from GERC to kind of discuss it a little bit more.
right.
And
Can
Ed,
I,
thank
can I
you
just
for-
ask, like, I just want to be clear on what we're doing. What we are sharing information about this issue. I mean, it sounds like people are making advocacy statements, and I just, that sounds like there's a kind of implicit motion somewhere. Like, I just don't quite understand what we're doing. So, I mean, we're not even on the actual agenda anymore. I just want to clarify this. So, do we need some kind of motion? Is the motion for the discussion to share information and thoughts about this? I just want to make sure we understand the remit of the conversation.
Well, I think
we're back on to report number 3.
Yeah,
And that's where,
report from
again,
the
we're at. So we're on the agenda. And again, we're having this discussion because again, there were concerns brought to it. And that's again, what we're looking to do is to come up with a satisfactory resolution. So the stuff that I said and Bob said, yeah, they probably are advocacy statements. And that's again, what we're looking to do. And that's why we do have, again, Ed here as well to again, kind of put forth this and again, kind of come to a satisfactory resolution moving forward.
Okay, so that sounds to me like there's an implicit motion, a resolution to something. Like I want to make sure I understand. I don't want to speak out of turn, and I want to make sure that I understand what we're doing. So right now, my understanding is we are not even on the agenda, except insofar as people are reporting on something. But if we're having a discussion, then that is actually, from my understanding, not on the agenda. And so I want to make sure that we get it on the agenda and that I understand the remit of the discussion.
So you
Curriculum Council has always worked with Bob's Rules of Order, not Robert's Rules of Order. So we're a little
no, don't say that. No,
well,
that's not true.
No.
No. So if you look at, we're on item number 3, report from the executive committee. So we're having, so the executive committee we received a letter of concern about an item. And so we are discussing that letter of concern about that item with the UCC, and we've invited Ed from GERC to help facilitate that discussion about, this is a report from the executive committee. As far as the discussion goes, and as far as a motion goes, all we're doing is having the report from the executive committee. Whether or not that leads to a motion, that's something else entirely. Whether or not the discussion from the report leads to something, that's something else entirely. But right now we are just having the report from the executive committee explaining what happened in an executive committee meeting.
Okay. And I just want to clarify that we are discussing something related to something that was sent to us irregularly via an email less than 24 hours ago and is not on the agenda.
I don't understand the is not on the agenda part. That's the thing that I don't.
It's number 3, it's right there.
Right.
I guess the letter was not on the original agenda, and it has been shared with us by someone who is not, does not preside over this committee. I still am not certain that everyone feels confident that they can participate in this conversation, given the time frame. But I'm happy to go forward. I don't want to be too obstructionist and procedural. I just want to clarify that this feels like a discussion that's occurring very quickly as a consequence of something that we received kind of irregularly yesterday. And that you know, at least for me, I have had back-to-back things to do since, you know, since yesterday evening. And so I can participate in this conversation, but it seems like I don't quite understand precisely what we're discussing, but also I just wonder if it's a little premature to have it given the nature of the information that was shared and the time frame.
I don't think it's premature for the idea that it's something that, again, is being pulled from Faculty Senate's consent calendar. And as Bob and Catherine had said, like we're trying to move these proposals and be able to get them again into the next catalog cycle. So that requires us again, maybe to move a little more quickly than we have moved on maybe something in past. That's no different than anything, and anyone can or say that we have, or anyone that has been on this committee can say that we've done that before. This is not like the first time where we might move with something quickly. Especially like, again, if we have an issue again with something like this that again is being brought up, we want to address it. And why, well, this is this is a great opportunity because we didn't have a ton of business. And that's why executive committee decided, hey, let's have this discussion. And we are having that discussion. Maybe we're making some different statements as well. And that is again what we're again looking to do. You have that right to say, yeah, it is irregular. It is not something again that's again quote unquote that we do. And we can look to again see if we need a motion, as Bob said, moving forward, if we do, if we even do. Because nothing's saying is, again, even with the conversation or with the discussion, nothing's going to say that maybe something will change. It may change, it may not change. I do want to defer, unless you have something, Jessica, I did want to defer to Ed. But if you have something, go ahead. Oh, Ed, Ed, thank you for joining us today. So Ed's here again as the chair from GERC and kind of shedding some more light about this, again, those concerns and about the emails that again was sent to all of us yesterday, kind of looking at some type of satisfactory resolution. Thank you, Ed, for coming today.
No, thank you for having me. I'm not sure I've seen the exact same email that you all have, but GERC got a similar one. So I'm assuming the general letter
The same.
that, okay, cool. So basically I can speak a little bit to GERC's process on this, and then I'm happy to answer questions or whatever would be useful for you all. GERC received the proposal for the course. We considered the course on the proposal, but we did not have an assessment plan. GERC's new policy is that we cannot approve a course until we see the assessment plan, because as would happen in the past, and Catherine can speak to this, is that we would get approved courses, and then wait indefinitely for assessment plans to show up down the line. So now we only address them together. And we did vote on this, and the decision was unanimous with one abstention from the I do love the popcorn meme. Do love one abstention on that for someone who hadn't had a chance to fully review the proposal as they thought sufficient. And that's their right to abstain. Subsequent to getting the letter from Jim DeSanza, the GERC Executive Committee met and discussed it. And I met with the biology department to discuss the concerns as well. And GERC will be discussing Jim's letter at our meeting on Tuesday, which unfortunately comes after the Senate meeting, where we will be discussing it there too. So this will receive a lot of the discussion. Given GERC's unanimous vote, I think we believe that this course is important and necessary, and that the proper process was followed. And while I cannot speak for GERC's what GERC will do in light of the concern, since we have not had a full committee meeting, I am fairly confident that GERC will continue to stand by this proposal as meeting our thresholds for what we need to see at this stage of the course's development. Assessment plans are always iterative and always able to be amended if they find that they are not actively meeting the needs of the course, the needs of the gen ed program. That is why we have annual assessment reports due every year. That is why every 5 years we review these objectives in greater detail. As far as this course goes, we are the only 4-year state institution that does not offer multiple options in Objective 2. So we are an anomaly on that front, which is why we think this course is important in giving our students opportunity. That's partially why GERC was really excited to see this proposal. And I know we're not really discussing the merits of the course itself, but I do think the concerns that are raised in the letter are minor and easily addressable as the course evolves and a full syllabus is created. I think it's a little premature to assert that the course will not meet the objectives when the full syllabus hasn't been developed, since it is a brand new course. After my conversations with biology, I'm confident that they will be able to meet all of the requisites under the oral communication objective, which is not beholden to any department. No department owns that objective, even though CMP has historically been the only provider of courses in that objective. The objective is written broadly and open to all disciplines to consider submitting proposals. So that's sort of where we stand as GERC right now. This brings us closer to alignment in line with our sister institutions across the state, and we are looking forward to seeing this course move forward. But I'm happy to answer any questions that you all have or offer any other information that might be useful for UCC as they discuss and or consider and or whatever y'all are doing, as Jessica pointed out.
Thank you, Ed. I'll leave it up. Like he said, is there any questions that anyone has as we're having this discussion?
Yeah, GERC will be formally responding to Jim DeSanzo's letter after our meeting on Tuesday. We just haven't had a chance to meet to discuss it yet. So he will receive a formal reply from the committee. And then depending on how he feels about that reply, we are happy to meet with him as the executive committee, which I've already told him that as well.
Because we're not gonna, and so I'll clear, because you're the chair and I'm the chair of this. Your meeting is going to defer what we're going to do. Because again, at the end, that's again, the way the process works is that, again, we're going to either stand behind or kind of see where you guys are and then kind of move from there.
Yeah. I mean, at this point in time, GERC has no policy or procedure in place for delisting a gen ed. So I don't know that we can do anything other than stand by what we've done. The motion was made, the motion was seconded, the motion was passed. At this point, we have no longer control over it. I think the ball is with UCC. But I think you guys have also approved it. And I don't know what your policies are for reconsidering such a thing. So, I mean, I don't know that we could do anything, even if the committee wanted to do something, other than in our normal annual assessment plan after the course is offered. If we find that the assessments are insufficient, we can suggest that a department reevaluate their assessment plan, but we have no opportunity or real power to force a department to change their assessment plan, in the sense that we don't have any power to unlist a gen ed. So once the gen ed is listed, GERC, as far as I can tell, and as far as everyone has told me, our job is done. And there's a lot of courses who have assessment plans that do not meet current GERC standards. I would note that that does include the current course for oral communication objective. I looked at the assessment plan for that course, and that assessment plan would likely not be approved if it were submitted today.
Branda?
Yeah, I just had a question about what's the rubric that you judge how it falls in an objective, for example, objective 2.
So we look at the statewide objective policy, the oral communication objectives as provided by the state, and we look to see if the department has articulated a plan to assess each of the necessary objectives. And that we give a lot of freedom to the departments as the content area experts. And so this being focusing on scientific communication, we trust biology's determination of what kind of assessments will be useful for assessing whether or not the students develop those skills. As long as those skills and assessments fall within the general overview of what the state of Idaho says we must assess for each objective. And I'm on my laptop right now, so I can't pull up the specific assessment plan unless I tab away from you guys. So I'm happy to do that if you need me to answer specific questions about the assessment plan. I heard y'all were waiting for me, so I didn't run all the way back to my office. I only ran halfway.
Thank you, Ed. Anybody else have any kind of general discussion or general questions for Ed?
I think I saw Jessica's hand.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm not chairing this meeting. Sorry.
No, that's
If
fine.
I'm-
You had the floor though, so go ahead. Yep. Go ahead.
Okay.
I don't have questions for Ed.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Sorry, I thought I saw your hand, Jessica.
I did raise my hand. I have some things I'd like to say if the floor is open for discussion.
Yes.
But I don't have.
Sure.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Before you bring up a discussion, Ed, can you hang around a few minutes because it might tail back to you if you don't mind?
Mhm.
Thank you.
Happy to do
Go
that.
ahead, Jessica. Go ahead.
So I do have some comments. And in 3 different areas. I don't know kind of the purpose of these comments. So to me, there are 2 possible tracks that are the purpose of these comments. So one, in terms of the query about kind of what could be done and Robert's rules, there is the possibility of a motion to rescind an action of the committee. And that is not on the table. And but that would be one possible direction that these comments could go. Another possible direction is more about kind of thinking about process and how this might help us to think about these types of processes and these types of proposals, which are bound to come forward in the future also. So I think it's the same set of comments for both. So I'd like to offer these if that's okay. And then the committee can do what it will in terms of thinking about sort of, potential directions to go in. So in terms of this proposal, there's an issue of consultation and impact. And I think that the letter of the law is that it is not that, COM is not technically impacted by this proposal. But there is a little bit of disagreement about that I've seen. In any case, this issue does impact in terms of potential credit loss. And at least in terms of other proposals, when there is potential credit loss to a department, those departments are consulted. So that's the first issue. The second is, for me, there's a larger point here about consultation and expertise, which is that oral communication is an area of academic study and specialization. And the objectives are designed with that background and expectations in mind. This course was developed without consulting those who have research and teaching expertise in that area. While it may not be required to consult with experts in this area, it does seem odd that we as a university would support creating courses in established content areas with no consultation with those who have expertise in that area. Finally, and I'm not saying that the proposers do not have expertise in scientific communication. I'm certain that they do. I'm just wondering if they have the general content area expertise. Finally, I've gathered that biology and some members of GERC were aware that CMP would be upset by this proposal. Indeed, at the Gen Ed Summit, a member of our campus community mentioned to me that the proposal would be a coming, quote, and excuse my French, but I'm quoting here, shit show. I'm unclear why those who knew that this could possibly be alarming decided to proceed in the way that they did. What was their concern? What was the risk of talking to Jim and hearing some of COM's concerns and responding to them? And here, it could have helped to create an even stronger course and an even stronger proposal, perhaps something more informed by the theories of communication that Jim brings up in his memo. At the General Education Summit, we discussed durable skills, those things other than hard skills and other than the letter of the law that are necessary in a professional environment: tactfulness, collaboration, teamwork, analytical thinking, emotional intelligence, and cultural sensitivity. This process seems to me to have sidelined some of the basic elements of professionalism in order to get this proposal through. I don't doubt that it meets the letter of the law, And I actually don't doubt that it would be and could be a good course and even a better course. But what would have been the harm in consulting, even if this wasn't required? And so with that in mind, I do not know whether I should motion to rescind this and send it back for consultation, or whether I should just say it is our obligation to come up with expectations that content area experts are consulted when developing courses, but that, those are the two potential directions we could go in.
Sorry, I was muted. Go ahead, Ed. Sorry.
Sorry, yeah, I'm not sure if it's my place to speak, but I will just say I have heard historically that COM has not been receptive to other departments trying to create oral communication courses. I actually spoke to another department that is considering a proposal, having now seen the biology one successfully go through. And they told me they reached out to faculty in COM and were flatly told, do not do this, do not try. So I don't know that collaboration or reaching out earlier would have been successful. And again, from GERT's standpoint, it's not required. I also would push back a little bit on the assumption that content area experts were not consulted. That sort of implies that the only people who can be content area experts in oral communication and rhetoric are in the communication department. And I would disagree with that, and disagree with that from GERT's perspective, particularly. We trust that the people who are proposing courses in the content area and in the subject matter that they are proposing are experts in their field. If I were to propose a general education course on political communication, spoken oral political communication, I would trust that the political science department faculty know how to do that and know how to do that effectively. And I don't know that I would need to consult with rhetoricians and oral communication in the comm department to necessarily make that course fit the objectives as articulated by the State Board of Education. So I would push back a little bit from the assumption that content area experts were not consulted. I believe that the biology faculty are content area experts in scientific communication, and that does include oral scientific communication. And I would also question whether or not the oral communication department are content area experts on communicating scientific communication orally. So the assumption that the content area experts reside in CMP and not in biology for this particular gen ed is one that I do not necessarily know to be true.
Okay. In speaking with what Ed said too, so once it comes from them, meaning once it was approved, it came here, and again, we looked over it again, we saw what was there. Like he said, we don't need those, again, impacts from CMP to move forward with that. And that's why it did move forward. And again, if there were comments that were needed to be made, again, comments were made when we did have that meeting. Again, yeah, it did move quickly. I'm not going to say it didn't, but again, the comments were not there to where it was going to stop anything and from it moving forward. So that's why we did approve it. Any other discussion with this? Go ahead, Jessica.
I guess I'm wondering about the opinions of, or just the thoughts of some of the other people on the committee.
Yeah. Anybody else want to share from other departments?
I'll share. This is Ben. Being in the library, I get to, I don't subscribe to any one department, but as an ex officio member on GERC, I got to read this proposal and see the comments that were in support. And as in other proposals that have come through UCC, since I've served on there, there have been other proposals that have gone through that have received letters of support, and other letters that were expressing their concerns, such as in nursing program, as they had a curricular change that impacted the chemistry department that was aware of. The chemistry department were able to express their opinion and UCC still moved forward in accepting the program change. And so GERC saw the letters in support, the comments in there that gave weight to the proposal. And so I think it all made sense what has happened. Changes to curriculum, changes in programs affect one another, but at the same time, the merit of the proposal seemed to stand for itself and seems to be a welcome addition.
Thank you, Ben. Is there any other departments? Go ahead, Randa.
I think Camille came up first, but
Oh,
as
yes,
far
sorry.
as the process goes, I thought the process went just like the last 3 years I've been on this committee. So I feel like the process was exactly the way it is supposed to be. I thought each person from their college had the requisite time to be able to review those proposals. And we didn't see any problems with the proposal from anyone.
Camille, go ahead. I know you were messaging me, but I'm, if you want to, you can feel free to say what you want to say. Oh, your microphone isn't working. Are you okay with me sharing then, if you want to reply back to the chat? Are you okay with me? Yeah, okay. So she's okay with sharing. Again, she's directly messaged me. And she just said, again, she doesn't disagree that out of professional courtesy, it might be something we need to look toward in the future to reach out for consult. But at the same time, again, trusting again the experts of biology that they know again, the experts in again scientific communication to make decisions. You know, they're the ones again that would have the quote unquote expertise with that, as Ed was saying, and out of professional courtesy, I think that's with Randa. Are you raising your hand again? Sorry, because I'll stop.
No, sorry.
No, that's okay. I see the points of that, and again, like as all of us faculty and colleagues that we again should address each other if we're again impacting again areas, but again, going to what the policy states, it's not in there to state that, and just kind of bringing something forward. If we were to look to do that with every single gen ed course, trying to get something approved or something done, it might not happen. And again, that's something again of consideration too, where we still have to move with university business in this aspect. Ed, go ahead.
So thank you. Just from GERC's perspective, if we required every department with a course in each gen ed category to weigh in on every single new gen ed, just because it might take students from their course. So like if a new gen ed in social behavioral sciences comes in, we may lose seats from my introduction to American government class. I don't know, or other departments. I just, from GERC's perspective, that would be more burdensome than helpful. And so I don't know that GERC would welcome that particular suggestion. And if we make policies for, you know, one objective that has a small number of courses, you know, yeah, I don't know. I just don't think we need to expand the notion of what counts as an impacted department to make this process even more burdensome than it already is. So just from GERC's perspective, we would support more or less sticking with the current policy.
Got it. And Camille, thank you for your input. And that was Crystal, go ahead.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thanks. I just wanted to reiterate basically to Camille's point, and that I trusted the process. I do trust the protocols, and I believe everything was followed. In fact, when I got that email, I read through it several times and I wondered, where is that in the process to be okay to address the committees in that way? I was just curious and you guys may have already talked about this and I came in late, so I apologize, but how are we protected in that way? Was that even something that should have come to us that way? And so is allowed to come to us in that manner.
So I'll speak in the fact of that we're quote unquote not protected again for stuff like that. However, back to Bob's point, we are open meetings, so anyone can make a comment in that. But yeah, I won't say when I read it myself as well, like, again, if we're talking about the idea of professional courtesy coming apart, like, you know, there was some questions again in regards to that too with what was coming forth. But again, this is not the first, in my time, and I'm serving my second term on this committee. This isn't the first time, probably, nor the last time that we'll see something like this. Because again, we are a body that affects everything in the university of what's going in that catalog. So individuals will bring up stuff, and whether it's done always in the best manner, maybe or maybe not. But that's the purpose of our meetings, is they have these discussions too, and kind of again look to where we can make it as a learning opportunity of what we can do moving forward. And I think today's purpose, we have done that to where we know what the policy is and what we need to do and what we need to do moving forward. And again, like I said in my original emails going back and forth, and like Ed was saying too, I don't think it's going to change the outcome. But again, it's a satisfactory resolution of maybe some different consultations moving forward. With that being said, does anybody else have anything else for Ed before I look to dismiss, or again, because we're all busy in that, and I don't want to hold you to another meeting. You're group chair, just like myself. You don't have to sit in another meeting if you don't need to, but I do really appreciate you coming. Ben, thank you for helping coordinate that, and again, answering all this. And really the main, and I'll just share this with all of my committee members before you go. The reason I brought you in is because this is your expertise of what your committee does. And this is specifically relating to GERC. That's what GERC's job is. So I appreciate you coming here. I appreciate you again making the time for us with that. Before Ed goes, anything else for him? Thank you, Ed. You take care. Have a good afternoon. Oh,
Thank you so much. And if there's any need ever to come back, I'm always happy to stop by and weigh in on all things GERC.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yep, you take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Wesley, I do have a follow-up question related to this issue, but it wasn't a question for Ed, which is the question that I was asking you in that email this morning, which is whether and how UCC can or should respond to Jim's concerns. I mean, he has sent us all a letter, and yes. So part of my concern in asking that was less a debate about the this particular proposal than a question about professionalism, tact, community. What is our responsibility in responding to that?
And that's why I had said, like, again, executive committee, we were going to look to, again, see about a response. I don't think that's, well, again, we're open. Like, if you wanted to, and I would not hold back any of the committee to, again, respond if they want to. That is your right to do so. However, again, we've all come to the unanimous decision of the proposal that it's approved, and it's again moving forward. It's not being rescinded. It's not even up to the table for that at this point. So if you want to leave it up to executive committee for us specifically to reply, again, that would be fine as well. And we will meet next week, or again, if we'll have a discussion even maybe after this meeting again to put forth a thing for that moving forward. If not, academic affairs has again replied to certain things, like when this happened, as I recall from last year with nursing, and it went back and forth with us. Does that clarify? Jessica?
Sorry, Bob had a comment.
No, that's okay.
So
I didn't see his comment, or did you raise your hand? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I have my hand up.
Sorry, I apologize. I didn't see it.
It's okay. No worries.
Go ahead, Bob.
So to kind of you know, to kind of answer the question of how do we, should we, you know, what is the response? You know, from my time on Faculty Senate, you know, considering where that this is kind of an open letter and again, an open meeting, we can choose to respond as a committee, and we would do so by making a motion. We could choose to not respond, and that doesn't need a motion because it's just inaction. We could have the executive committee respond. It kind of depends on what the committee wants. If there is a motion to be made to write a formal response, then there's a motion to be made. If it needs a second, it would then need to be voted upon, and then a letter could be drafted and then brought forth to the UCC and then voted upon that. If the UCC wanted the executive committee itself to respond, someone could make a motion, and anyone can make a motion to have the executive committee respond. So the answer, you know, is kind of in a nebulous form, but the reality is without a motion to do something, it's a bit of information and that's it. So, I mean, in order to do an action, we need a motion to make. So.
I would like to motion that the executive committee respond to the letter. I don't think it needs a response from the entire committee, but I do think, you know, it's an impassioned and informed letter, and it deserves at least I mean, partly this is, you know, maybe thinking like too much in terms of emotional sensitivity or something, but, you know, this is someone who feels like he was, you know, and the entire department were wrongfully left out of an entire process. Now, as a committee, it sounds to me like the committee's general sentiment is that he may feel that way, but he wasn't entitled to be part of the process anyway. Regardless, I think that he deserves a response that kind of clarifies and communicates, you know, from the executive committee's perspective, why what occurred was okay.
So that's your motion, right, Jessica? That was your motion, yes? Oh yeah, sorry, I didn't see it, so that's why.
Yeah, I mean, maybe no one's going to second it, which is fine,
Okay.
but that's my motion, is that the executive committee respond to the letter.
Bob, were you saying something?
You need to call for a second.
I was going to, yep, I thought, yep. Is there a second for that?
I
I'll
will
second
second
it.
that.
Who was the second? Was that you, Sherry?
Or
Jonna,
Ben.
Jonah, okay. And then all in favor of that? You raise a hand to vote.
Aye.
Is there any opposed or any abstention?
Abstain.
Abstain.
And Wesley, I will abstain as well. So we got
So
all in
that's-
favor,
Is
Go ahead.
that 3 abstentions?
myself, Bob, and then was there a third? I didn't think there was a third.
Sherry. Yes, Sherry.
Sherry, you're abstaining as well?
Yes.
Crystal, I'm going to abstain as well, Wesley.
Okay.
So
Okay,
does
so
the motion pass? Are there enough,
I'd like to call for a roll call vote.
do you want me to record the roll call vote,
the whole meeting is
in the minutes?
recorded.
Or is this just for the internal vote? You want this in the minutes, or do you want it just as an internal voting?
I want it as an internal. We don't, but we need
Okay.
to know the count.
Yeah, we do.
Wesley, call the question again.
So can I get a motion then? Or
No,
do
you don't
want-
need a motion. We just vote
Can
again.
we go through the roll call vote then again individually then and say if you're again opposing, if you're approving, or you're abstaining? So I'll start off, Wesley, and I abstain. You can feel free to, or I can. call-
Wesley, you need to call the roll.
Yeah.
Or Catherine will call the roll.
I'll call the roll. I'll just call again throughout there. Sorry. Bob,
Abstain.
and I'm gonna write this down as well. Sherry,
Abstain.
okay. Again, I'm looking at voting members. Ajit? You voting yes, or wait, did you put it in the comment here?
Yes.
You're to abstain or you're voting as a yes?
Voting yes.
Approve. Okay, so Ajit approved.
Got it.
Camille is
Mhm.
abstaining. She put it in the comments.
Wait, okay, so that makes it three abstentions
No,
so
we
far.
have 4 abstentions, myself, Bob, Sherry, and Camille right now, because she had to put it in the comments. Ajit has approved.
Uh-huh, got it.
Okay, and again, I'm calling on individuals, so just give me a second to go through I'll get a picture. Jessica?
Mhm,
Yes.
Okay, so she's
Okay.
been approved.
got it.
But you don't vote. I'm sorry, not saying that, but you're not a non-voting member. Am I saying it right, Jonah or Jonna? Is it Jonah? Okay, yeah, go ahead, and you're muted,
Oh, sorry, Jonna, and approve.
okay?
Okay,
Ivory, no. Maren, no. Bob, you already voted. Aaron Barry?
approve.
Okay.
Okay,
Anna, no. And I think that's it, right? Do I have everybody?
do you
Yeah.
have Ben?
And Wesley, I abstained. This is
Is it-
Crystal.
Crystal, sorry.
It's
I didn't see
Crystal,
you.
that's an
Crystal's
abstention, okay.
abstention. And
Ben,
then I already have Camille, she abstained.
right, but what about, Ben's approve, okay.
Then you're approved?
Yes.
Okay.
We got Mona and Randa still to go,
Mona?
Abstain.
Okay.
okay.
And Randa?
Approve.
Okay. I'm accounting as one, okay, wait, so one,
I've got it tied,
yeah, that's what I
6
have
to
as well.
6. Yeah, so.
You need a majority, you need a majority in order to approve.
Right,
So does
so
not move, or it
it's,
does not move being approved then, correct?
right, so there's, it did not pass.
Nope.
It did not pass with 4 yeses and 4 abstentions and
You're welcome, Jessica, thank you. Okay, so again, it's not, again, moving forward, again, we're not gonna, again, the executive committee is not going to, again, put forth that letter. With that being said, any more further discussion with this before I look to move on to the last part of this? Okay, with that being said, again, stay tuned for, again, email votes next week for, again, everything that was in unfinished business to go to new business, and those, again, will look to be on the consent calendar as well. Executive committee, I want you to stay on, but can I, or as I get to stay, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Bob, thank you. Thank you all. I will see you next week, or we'll see you all next week virtually. You guys take care. Thank you. Executive committee, please stay on. And hold off executive committee on one thing. Give me 1 second here, please.
Where'd Ben go?
yeah, Ben